Hey guys, Ice Hockey Aussies here, back for another Stanley Cup playoff series breakdown in this first round. We've got the Boston Bruins, the absolute, just ridiculous Boston Bruins versus probably one of the hottest teams going, like finishing this season, the Florida Panthers. Came from absolutely nowhere and stole that last final wildcard spot, which was incredible.
Mm.
Um, yeah, incredible. Like I wasn't expecting them to make the playoffs at all, to be honest. And yeah, they've come out of nowhere, made the playoffs, and here we are. Boston versus Florida. It's just like you wouldn't think these two teams would have been coming up against each other, especially after Florida winning the President's Trophy last year and Boston winning it this year. But here we are. That's how it goes. And to run us through some stats, we've got Jaden.
Yeah, so 135 points, number one in the league, Boston, breaking all the records. And then you've got a team that just clinching the wild card spot in basically playing playoff hockey to the end. They're facing racing three other teams for that spot. Um, they finished with 92 points, so big discrepancy. 43 points. It's like almost half their points. So it shows the big discrepancy between the teams. Boston in the heads up, 2-1-1. So pretty even overall in regards to the heads up. I think Florida could definitely take it to them in this series just because of their run coming into the playoffs and how they have gone in their heads up. The interesting story, though, I think this is where Florida lose it, is the special teams. Power play is the same, but it's the penalty kill. Penalty kill, Boston best in the league, but there's a very poor penalty kill in regards to Florida at 76%. And I think that's where they may lose the game there, is on that. The other interesting stat is the goals for are the same, but it's the goals against. Obviously, Boston just don't concede, only averaging 2 goals a game, whereas Florida just concedes too much, 3.3 per game, and that is their flaw. They do miss Spencer Knight. They do have other goaltenders stepping up in that regards in line, but will they show up in playoffs? That is the question with Bobrovsky in line. Whereas basically Boston can hold up with Ullmark pretty much the whole the series and probably the whole playoffs. In regards to the team's best five, it's honestly pretty even in that sense. Just the plus minus is a little bit different and much stronger on the Boston side of things, especially when you don't concede goals. It's obviously going to be good. Both teams have a player that's in the 100 points, and then there's a big drop off to the next player. The only thing is that Pasternak obviously 61 goals for the season, which is absolutely insane. But Panthers have two players, Verhaeghe, Kuchak, both amazing seasons, scoring over 40. We've got, well, we both have them. Bruins winning 4-1. However, with Florida's run into the playoffs, playing playoff hockey a little bit longer than Boston to make it here, I feel like they could definitely take it to him. But it's that penalty kill that against this Boston team that has such lethal players that go on that power play. I feel like that's where they may lose this series.
Yeah, for sure. I think uh, I stated this when I saw Florida coming up. I said Boston's probably most worrying team is probably Florida. They probably don't want Florida to make the playoffs because Florida, they won the President's Trophy last year. This season that they've had this year it has been weird. They shouldn't be where they're at. They've shown some real glimpses of what they were last year, and then they've gone, straight back to shit. And that's the concerning thing because I think this series could go many different ways. We could see Boston absolutely blitz Florida. We could see Boston winning games 4-0, 4-1, because Boston have the defense to shut down Florida's offense, but they also have the offense to absolutely blitz Florida's poor defense, right? So like they've almost got both areas covered. But we know that if Florida are on, Florida are a different team. We've already seen it in the series throughout the year. I mean, Boston lost 17 games all year. Two of those were to Florida. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I definitely think if Florida can find their top form, they can take it to this Boston team. I still don't think it'll be enough. I think Boston are just so good this year. They've got they've got all four lines firing. They've got their defense is firing, and they've got probably one of the best goalie tandems in the league in Olmark and Swayman. So honestly, it's hard to see Florida getting up, hence the 4-1. I think they'll probably snatch one victory, but this is definitely one of those that I could see being a sweep. I could see the Bruins sweeping Florida. It just depends on what Florida shows up. If what we saw from Florida for most of the year shows up, yeah, they're screwed. They're going to get absolutely swept. But if what we saw towards the end, where they were really turning it on, and their defense can show up and they can get some decent goaltending out of either Lyon, who I'm assuming they're going to run with, or they might throw Bob out there. Um, but if they can get some decent goaltending, it'll help. But ultimately, I just think the Bruins will be too strong. And yeah, we're gonna see a
Mm,
pretty short series.
yeah. Well, I'll just run a couple more stats. Last year, Bruins lost in round one, and last year, Florida got out of round one, just for the second time in their franchise. So, looking at our prediction, looks like it's going to be roles reversed from last year, and complete opposites. One was the president, and one's not, and etc. The other thing is eight straight playoffs for the Bruins. In regards to Florida's side of things, it's their four straight playoffs. It's I believe it's a French team or franchise record, and that's it there. So if they get out of round one, Florida, this will be the third time they've done it in their history. It'll be interesting if they can do it. I think you couldn't ask for a harder task to come up with probably the best team that's ever played in the NHL. And look, yeah, it's going to be definitely difficult for them. I do think they've got some of the pieces that they could do it, and they have been hot. They have been playing it. It is the question: do you play Lyon over Bob? Bob has showed up in playoffs. Probably, I believe you could say two times. I'd probably say just one where he really, really showed up. Um, and he really hasn't been the same player since then. So I don't know. I would probably go with Lyon. You play the hot hand. If it doesn't work out, you go with Bob, and that's what I would do. In regards to Boston, I'd probably just play Ormuk the whole way, play the hot hand. Um, Essentially, if he has some hiccups, then you go with Swayman. If you need to rest him from any niggles injury concerns, you go with Swayman. But yeah, I'd pretty much go Ormuk and Lyon for here. And yeah, I got Bruins 4-1. I like I said, could definitely be a sweep. Probably your best chance of being a sweep, besides the Jets series, maybe. And yeah, I I think Bruins win this 4-1. Florida will take it to them. I don't think they're going to get super blown out as long as they stay out the box because they have no penalty kill basically compared to Boston.
Yeah, sure. I agree. I think Boston definitely getting out of the first round, which is super super good to see. Obviously, if it does happen, it might not. But yeah, the President's Trophy curse, I don't think it's going to be a thing this year. I think they'll find their way out of the first round pretty easily. But you know, in saying that, I don't think Florida are going to go down without some sort of fight. I think they'll put something up, but overall, I think Boston will be too clean, and just too good for the Panthers.
Alrighty, I guess we'll leave it there. So feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content, and to follow through the playoffs. We'll be posting more content throughout the playoffs, and leave a comment below on what you think of this series, who you think is going to come out on top. Do you think it will be a clean sweep? Do you think Bruins get knocked out in the present trophy candidate curse comes to bite them in the butt, or if they go beat this series and possibly even go and win the cup. And yeah, until then, we'll see you guys for another video sometime soon.
Take care, guys.